July 10, 1981. Skidmore, Missouri. Population 440. A town where everyone knows everyone. And on this hot Friday afternoon, in broad daylight, a man named Rex McElroy sat in his pickup truck, parked right outside the DNG Tavern. He was shot to death. At point-blank range. In front of his wife. In front of as many as 60 witnesses. But when the police arrived, they were met with a wall of silence. A collective shrug. A story that would never be told. This isn't a mystery about who pulled the trigger. This is the story of why an entire town decided to protect a killer. And get away with murder. Welcome to True Tales USA. Stories that shock, baffle, and reveal the truth. Today, we go to the heartland, to a town pushed to its breaking point, the murder of Rex McElroy. To understand what happened on July 10th, you have to understand who Rex McElroy was. In Skidmore and the surrounding counties, he wasn't just a troublemaker, he was a predator. Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing nearly 250 pounds. McElroy ruled through sheer terror. His lengthy rap sheet included arson, theft, and assault. He was known for burning barns, stealing livestock, and brazenly shoplifting in front of clerks he knew were too afraid to stop him. He would threaten families, sometimes at shotgun point, to run them off their land. The law seemed powerless to stop him. Time and again, he was arrested, only to see charges dropped or receive light sentences. Witnesses would mysteriously change their stories or refuse to testify, often after quiet visits from McElroy himself. He operated with a chilling impunity, and the town of Skidmore lived under a cloud of fear. He'd often just sit in his truck on Main Street, staring, a silent, looming reminder of his control. The specific incident that lit the fuse happened a year earlier, in the summer of 1980. McElroy got into a dispute with 70-year-old grocer Ernest Bowenkamp, allegedly over Bowenkamp's granddaughter. McElroy followed the old man, and in front of witnesses, shot him in the neck with a deer rifle. Miraculously, Bowenkamp survived, this time. Perhaps because the victim was so beloved, the community's key witnesses held firm. McElroy was finally convicted of assault and released on a mere $40,000 appeal bond, but instead of laying low, he returned to Skidmore more brazen than ever. Openly boasting that the town couldn't touch him, his presence was a final, unbearable provocation. The tension reached its peak on the morning of July 10th. Frustrated, citizens gathered for an impromptu meeting inside the DNG Tavern. They weren't plotting a murder. They were desperately seeking a solution, any solution that the courts had failed to provide. As they talked, the unthinkable happened. McElroy and his young wife, Trina, pulled up and parked his pickup truck directly across the street. He sat there, staring down the tavern, for over an hour. It was a silent, psychological siege. Then, just after noon, it was over in seconds. Witnesses described a man approaching the passenger side of the truck, speaking briefly to Trina, then walking round to the driver's window. 2 shots rang out. Rex McElroy was killed instantly. His truck rolled forward and crashed. The chaos that followed, the shooter simply vanished into the crowd. And the crowd itself dissolved. People walked calmly back to their homes, their shops, their farms. By the time law enforcement arrived, they found only Trina, McElroy's body. And a conspiracy of silence. The investigation was stonewalled at every turn. No forensic evidence identified the shooter. A grand jury was convened, but not a single person from Skidmore offered a credible account. The town had closed ranks completely. A local man summed it up for reporters with a line that would become infamous: "We've told all we're going to tell." In the aftermath, a palpable sense of relief washed over Skidmore. The fear that had gripped the town for years was gone. But it was replaced by a heavy, shared secret. Trina McElroy eventually won a small civil judgment against the town, but no criminal charges were ever filed. The key figures in the drama, the shooter and those who may have known, lived out their lives in the same community, the truth passing into legend with each generation. The lingering questions are less about who done it and more about morality and justice. Was this an act of vigilantism, or was it a community acting in collective self-defense after the legal system had utterly failed them? Did the town's silence represent a moral failure? Or was it a necessary pact to protect the one person who finally did what the law could not? The story of Skidmore forces us to confront the darkest of questions. Where does justice end and the law begin? What do you think? Was the town's silence justified? Or did they become what they feared? Let us know in the comments below. If you have a true tale from your state you want us to cover, suggest it there as well. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to True Tales USA, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next story.